Well, down here then with our pole sitters, we're going to start with Mervyn Beckett, who's on the production pole. I'll tell you what, it's going to be tight this weekend, isn't it? 55,000.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was expecting it to be Alfie, but Pete Dow is certainly firing this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's been close between you and Pete in practice and in qualifying. It's going to be the same in the race, right?
Yeah, he got behind me part of that qualifying, and I could see that he was certainly up for the game that we're going to have, a battle this next race.
Obviously, Cadwell went pretty well for you, although I know you were basically just happy to survive that race. Dry conditions at the moment, though, so you can really find out what the car's capable of.
Yeah, definitely, and then it's interesting because, of course, Pete being new to Civics, it's going to be very interesting that hopefully I can just keep us me in front, and then hopefully we have a battle with a few of the Civic Cup guys that hopefully we might be able to get a car between us just to hold off.
That would certainly help you out, wouldn't it? Congratulations on pole position, Mervyn. Now, if we just swing around, we've got Matt Luff, our overall pole sitter, who is just down here. Let's go and have a word with him. Matt Luff, I'll tell you what, Matt, quite quickly, haven't you?
Yeah, thank you. That definitely makes up for the qualifying at Cadwell, doesn't it? Yeah, no, I'm happy to come away with pole, obviously. The pace, I mean, I found some clear track, banged in 4 or 5 quick laps, and one was enough to put me on pole, so yeah, I'm really, really happy.
But you've now got to stay there for the race. How confident are you?
It's a tricky one, because this field's so competitive, and starting on the inside or on the front row here doesn't necessarily mean you're going to come away with a win. It doesn't really give you that much of an advantage, especially with a dip on that start of the lap. So yeah, I'm just going to have to keep my nose clean, try and break a gap, and just put some quick times in tomorrow.
You've got Jamie up there on the front row, so to your point, there are some really quick drivers and quite experienced Civic Cup drivers there with you.
Yeah, definitely. They're both very experienced drivers, but I'm confident in my own ability, so I'll give them a good run for their money.
Best of luck. Well, a fantastic effort that from Matt Luff and Mervyn Beckett there on their respective class pole positions then for that first Civic Cup race later on this afternoon.
Thank you.
Well done, mate. Good luck for the race.
Welcome back, everybody. We are now qualifying for, as you know, splitting the bill with the drifting, the Civics, the TCRs, and so on. Now we are doing our time attack qualifying. Our new for today format that combines Clubman with Pocket Rocket and Club classes all into one session. So we're qualifying with these drivers now, and shortly we'll be doing Pro qualifying as well. Now let's take a look. We've seen some stories developing, one of which being Samuel Pickering, we brung for a few years, has now jumped into Club 2-wheel drive, one of the full-time championship classes, and has been very, very fast straight out of the box, putting in happily 52-second laps all morning. Of course, this is the first session of the day in Time Attack that scores points. Qualifying does score an amount of points, not as much as the final session of the day, but the Time Attack is called qualifying, not in the strictest sense of the word. That's just a legacy name that is carried on throughout the years. Here it's called qualifying just because it signifies that it is still important, you know, more so than warm-up and practice and all this stuff. Qualifying still carries some gravitas, and that's because this does award some points. So this is going to be the first time that we see our drivers actually really attacking in anger, because there's no point to do so during warm-up and during practice. There's no reason to go that quickly because it's all risk with no reward. This time around, our drivers are finally looking to score some points, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do once they are all unshackled and the red mist descends. Simon Norris then, fastest of all so far with a 53.2 in the Mitsubishi Colt. We saw Susie interview him a little while earlier during practice. Simon Norris, of course, a legendary Mitsubishi Evolution builder and driver, while he waits for his short wheelbase Evo to be finished. While he's getting some work done, he's just having some fun, in his own words, in the Mitsubishi Colt, and also in doing so is the fastest two-wheel drive entry that we have. So absolutely phenomenal effort there from Simon Norris. in the Mitsubishi Colts, Samuel Pickering in the Subaru Impreza Type RA. Let's look at some of the other stories that we've seen here then. Speaking of drivers that have made the move from Run What You Brung into one of our, our full championship classes, we've also got Stephen Wilkinson in the number 334 Renault Sport Clio RS. This one's prepped by GR Performance, is running a custom production gearbox, and it's supported by Virus Recruitment. And after 2 years in Run What You Brung, he's now made the jump and progressed into Pocket Rocket, a class that sees a whole bunch of interesting cars here as well. We've got Michael Birch in the Tagua Racing Honda Civic, and of course Mike Sanford in the Team Confusion Ford Fusion, the Honda-powered Ford Fusion. Very, very interesting machine indeed. And you can just see a few of the drivers I mentioned now on your screens here. And here comes Neil Greenland in the green Mitsubishi Colt, the number 118 car, hot on the heels of the Mitsubishi Evo 6 of Chris Blundell, the Team JDS machine, the number 8 machine. And just behind him is the Caterham Supersport. Now, we discussed Jonathan's entry a little earlier on, but actually another Caterham owner, I was really bigging up the hardships of doing track work at a Caterham and getting rained on and so on. And another Caterham owner messaged me about this, saying, well, why doesn't he just do what all the other Caterham owners do and just drill a hole in the floor? And then, then it doesn't get full of 2 inches of water or whatever it was. Now, I suspect Jonathan may have considered this, and Jonathan Ellsworth, and maybe there's a reason why he hasn't done that. But if he hasn't considered that yet, then perhaps he should. And just a little bit on the spec of that machine. It was previously running in Time Attack with around 140 horsepower, which is plenty for a car weighing only half a ton. Or so you would think if you were Jonathan Ellsworth, because for this year it is now fully forged with forged pistons, steel rods, poured and polished heads, upgraded valves, valve springs, etc., ITBs. It is just, it's quite a machine. 8,000 RPM rev limit, and it produces 198 horsepower. If you're wondering how I know all of this off the top of my head, and so fluently I don't, it's because Jonathan sent in a spec sheet. And it's quite an impressive one, really. This has got a Caterham Supersport race suspension, and the whole thing with all fluids and half a tank of fuel is 535 kilograms. So as you can imagine, 198 horsepower in a car weighing half a ton is absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, I mean, you're looking at 400 horsepower per ton, around that, 375, 400 horsepower per ton. Really, really impressive stuff there from Jonathan Ellsworth. Let's take a look at the times. We've got Samuel Pickering then still running in first, having now cracked the 52-second barrier with a 51.9. Impressive stuff there from Sam Pickering. You can see him on your screens now, the number 661 machine, just getting passed by, that looks like Natalie Brooks in the BMW M3, which the F80 chassis, which she discussed with Susie a little earlier on in the interview. You could see, I thought what was particularly amusing when she just threw into conversation, just so casually, that it has 740 horsepower, which I thought, this is not a fact that you could approach so casually. That's a really big deal, actually, and on low boost running around 600 horsepower. That might be with what Natalie's working with right now. You can see then, let's take a look who we've got. You've also got this bright colored psychedelic Seat Leon of Hayden King, the number 444 machine. Relatively new to Time Attack, but performing pretty well, beginning to find his pace. He's currently 23rd overall, 13th in Club 2-Wheel Drive. Now, this is a very, very popular session. Club 2-Wheel Drive is probably one of our most oversubscribed at the best of times. And of course, in this particular session where it's running with the Clubman and the Pocket Rocket cars, this does make for quite a busy track. And, part of the skill of Time Attack is, of course, setting a lap time. But there are other series out there where, if you just want to go and be out on the track on your own and set a lap, there are other things that cater to that. You know, time attack is a lot more profound than that. But we'll come back to that after Susie tells us what she's got to say.
I'm down here with Ben Alvery with the JDS team. So you had a little issue in the first round, did you?
Yeah, it was in the first session we picked up a puncture on the rear right and the boost hose come off, so it was like that was ended that session for us. But luckily Johnny Fletcher with the black Astra come to the rescue with a new hose for us, so we managed to get out in the second session where Matt, I think, done a 51.1, which is really fast. So
Excellent. It's a really good example of how everyone in the pit comes towards together to help each other out. It's a really good, friendly atmosphere.
yeah, totally agree. Yeah, there's no paddock like the time attack paddock, and everyone all wants to see everyone out and enjoy themselves and putting in good times. So
And the car's all running again now, no problems.
so far so good, touch wood. We'll be out in the next one and see how it goes.
Excellent. Good luck out there. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I mean, Ben really nailed it. I mean, the atmosphere and the vibe in the time attack paddock is really just inimitable, right? Like nothing else feels quite the way time attack does, and it's what got me hooked. It's what got a bunch, a whole bunch of other people hooked as well. That looks like the machine of Andrew Kime. Yes, it is. The Citroen Saxo has been in time attack for absolutely ages. You can see all of these little pocket rockets, the Saxo, the Micra, the Colt. So the Micra there of Eden Young, the Gizfab machine, just yielding on the start-finish straight to the other pocket rocket cars. Now, we discussed something earlier on about, if you want to go and set lap times and that's kind of it, there are other places you can do that. The whole point of time attack is that you are doing this on a whole track that's busy with other cars, right? So the timed laps is just part of it. There's also dealing with the traffic, which is a real circuit, racecraft skill, is being able to negotiate traffic. And we've got a particularly busy track here today at Brands Hatch on this Indy layout, being especially short and with having such busy sessions. And you can see some of these cars on occasion putting their headlights on and off. If you're wondering what that means, checkered flag is out. We can come back to that. Let's have a look at these results then. Samuel Pickering, fastest of all with a 51.9. Then we have Russ Walker in the BMW M4, second overall and fastest in Club 2-wheel drive with a 53.0. Then we have Simon Norris with a 53.2. Oh, there we go. So actually the Club 2-wheel drive this time, here we go. This is the story then. We have Simon Norris and Neil Greenland, who have typically been probably the fastest in this year so far, at least in the sessions that we've seen. Interesting to see them pipped at the end by Russ Walker in the BMW M4. So Simon Norris then in third with a 53.2. Then we have Ellsworth with a 53.3, ahead of Jonathan Ellsworth there in the Caterham. Then we have Neil Greenland with a 53.3, also in the Mitsubishi Colt. Arturas Axurias in the Subaru Impreza, 53.7. Johnny Fletcher in the Vauxhall Astra, 53.8. Andrew Kime in the Saxo, first in pocket rocket class. Big kudos to him with a 54.2. Kevin Thieker in the Vauxhall Astra GSI, 6 in Club 2-wheel drive with a 54.2. Then we have the Honda Integra Type R of James Dover with a 54.3, 10th overall and 7th fastest in class. Then we have David Dyson in the Porsche 911 GT3, running a little slower than usual, it would seem. Usually he's quite far up the order with a 54.3, 8th in class. Then we have the machine of Mike Butler, the BMW M3, the 54.5. Then we there's so many, these sessions are so busy. Then we have Dean Taylor in the RG Motorsport Mitsubishi Evolution 7, running third in Club 4-wheel drive, so good effort there from him, 13th overall. Then we have the Lexus ISF of Chris Butcher, first in Clubman Plus with a 55.3. And again, these are still impressive lap times at Brands Hatch. Anything under a minute is pretty reasonable. And we're down to 15th, and we've still got 5 seconds to go, right? We're on 55 seconds. So Great effort there. Then we've got Sean Amara in the Honda Integra Type R. This one is the DC2 shape. Fastest lap of 55.7. That puts him 10th in Club 2-wheel drive and 15th overall. Then we have Andrew Rowe in the Subaru Impreza. I'm just trying to find Adam Rowe, sorry about that, in the single round entry Subaru Impreza, 55.8. Then we have Michael Burge in the Honda Civic EK with a 55.9. David Lawrence in the Seat Leon Cupra, 56.1. Then we have the Team Confusion Ford Fusion of Mike Sanford, and there we go, that's the timing screen's done. You can see some of that up on your screen now. It's just appearing to break it down by class right now. Our pro session is now live. And again, for those of you following along at home, I strongly recommend you go and open a new tab on your web browser and just punch in TSL timing, TSL as in Tango Sierra Lima, TSL timing, and you can get these beautiful timing screens up on your screen, which are better than actually the circuit ones. So I've got both on. And actually, when you're on the TSL timing website, where you can find the time attack quite easily, you can even go and put on an interactive map with the relative positions of all of the cars, which is super cool. And you can even watch one particular driver to see how they're doing. Yeah, really, really handy stuff. So, you know, there are loads of drivers today. These sessions are super busy. So if there's one driver that you're particularly interested in who you feel maybe you want to get some more coverage on, then absolutely go and take a look at the TSL website. Because there's just a wealth of information on there. Super cool stuff. Let's have a look then. We've got Darren Spooner, currently fastest. I mean, these are all outlaps. They don't really count for much. Ben Robinson, you can see in the Noble M12 on your screens. That's a particularly interesting situation because Ben Robinson, actually, those of you who are following at Cadwell Park, did actually catch fire. It was the big return of the Noble M12 for Ben Robinson, who in the previous year was competing in a Volkswagen Golf. This year he came back with a Noble, which promptly caught fire at Cadwell Park, which is an outcome that nobody really wanted. But with a really impressive turnaround, Ben Robinson is back this round with his Noble M12 firing on all cylinders and looking absolutely glorious. So a big welcome back there to Ben Robinson. Now, if you are looking out for the Honda NSX of Luke Sędzikowski, you will be disappointed to know that actually that will not be out on track today. You may have seen it run into engine issues during the morning sessions. It is a brand new engine in that, a Honda K24, fresh rebuild at the hands of Born HPP, who are, you know, a specialist at this kind of thing, but the turnaround was so quick. The engine blew up on a dyno a week ago, and they turned around a brand new engine, brand new build in just a week. Now, it's not completely out of this world that it would have teething issues, and so the NSX has been retired, and hopefully we'll see Luke out in their spare machine at some point during the session. On your screen is the fastest fastest finisher other than the GT3. I don't know of a more concise way of phrasing that. Colin Dorward in the 151 Track Formula Mitsubishi Evolution 8. You can see looking very rapid indeed, and he was the fastest entry so far in our pro classes, with the exception of the GT3 car of Phil Reed. Pretty interesting to get some feedback there from Phil, who said that actually, you know, you compare it to what was once a road-going car, Pace Ward's iconic Mitsubishi Evolution Pro Extreme car. This GT3 is a whole different animal. So Phil Reed in the Pace Ward Nismo GT3 was the fastest pro car so far, and then just after that was Colin Dorward in this Mitsubishi Evolution you see on your screen right now. So of course the Mitsubishi Evos and the Subaru Imprezas, as always, very fast, and here are our two fastest from the morning sessions, two fastest cars, the GT3 and the Evo of Phil Reed and Colin Dorward respectively, and just making their way round Andrew Barber then. So let's take a look. Let's follow Phil Reed around in the Pace Ward machine. You can see Colin Dorward hot on his heels as they come up and over McLaren and into clearways. Now downhill they go. Phil Reed going a little bit wide, it would appear, almost as if to let Colin Dorward through, and it appears that he has done so. They come into Paddock Hill side by side. Phil Reed yielding then as Colin Dorward flies through. He is currently fastest of all in this session with a 49.2. We probably will see these lap times come down a little bit. We are only 5 minutes into this session, and we've already seen faster times in the morning. And I believe we might have an interview coming shortly. Susie, what have you got for us?
Yeah, no, I'm down here in the pit lane with James Dover. So, James, this is your car, it's your DC5. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's my first season in this car. I built it last season pretty much. I raced in 2019 in an Astra and didn't really get on with it at the end of the season, so ditched that out and decided to try and build some reliability and built a Honda instead. So new experience for me. It's a turbo K20. It's still a standard engine at the moment. It's unopened, still as Honda built it. So we're taking it a little easy on it today. It's my first real time driving it in the dry, surprisingly.
How are you finding it?
It's all right, yeah, just trying to dial in the suspension a little bit and make some changes, but it's getting there now. We've come down from a 57 this morning to a 54, I think, now, so hopefully knock another second or so off in the final session.
And a little bit different from the Astra that you were driving in the 2019 season then?
It is, yeah. I mean, I drove two different Astras in 2019. They were both really good cars, actually, but just too much time to put into them between the rounds for me, I think. So trying to build something that's a little bit easier on the time scale. So Honda it was for me.
All going well today and just hoping for good times?
Yeah, it's all going good at the moment. We're just going to put another couple of pounds of boost in it and tighten the suspension up, go again.
Excellent. Well, good luck out there this afternoon.
Cheers, Suze. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks, guys. You can see then our two fastest runners so far still sharing track space. Actually, that being said, Colin Dorward just gets out of the way of Phil Reed's machine to give him some clean air to be running in. Headlights ablaze. Again, if you're wondering, this is part of the traffic etiquette here at Time Attack. Is headlights on mean you're in a fast lap, headlights off mean that you're in a cooling down lap, and you should be yielding to those who are on a fast lap. That's just the sporting thing to do, and our regulations enforce that. So when you see a car with the headlights on, it means get out of my way. I am on a quick lap, and they are under no obligation to yield to other cars on a quick lap, even if they're on a quicker hot lap than you. So there we go, the headlights being on then tell us that Phil Reed is on a flyer. He's gone faster in Sector 1, so it will be interesting to see. Best speed through the speed trap so far, personal best and session best. Phil Reed is going very quickly indeed as he comes into McLaren through clearways and now around to the outside of Clark Curve and onto the Brabham Straight. Let's see if he manages to improve on his lap time. Currently 47 points. Yeah, he slashes half a second off his fastest lap, going fastest of all with a 48.2. Colin Dorward, 0.6 seconds behind that with a 48.9. Very, very close between these two cars. Pretty different, all-wheel drive, all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive, you know, two different classes. One is road-based, the other is purpose-built competition machine, and yet they're lapping so closely to each other. Really, really cool stuff to see. Matt Newing then, in the JDS Sport Mitsubishi Evolution 7, doing especially well as well. Currently running third overall, second fastest in Pro 2-wheel drive. Very, very quick guy there, Matt Newing. He's been around Time Attack for ages. Andrew Barber in the Mitsubishi Evolution 9, who we saw had a bit of trouble earlier on in the morning, stopping out on track. As he explained to Susie during the interview, he did run into some electrical issues that just cut some of his running short, but he is back and he is getting his money's worth. This man drives 12 hours to get to Brands Hatch, so of course he will be keen to maximize that track time. You can see a car stopped on track. Let's just have a closer look at what's going on there. And also, I believe there he goes, the green car gets back underway, the Mitsubishi Evolution. I think Susie might have somebody for us in the pit lane.
Yeah, I'm down here with Eden, and Eden is driving K11 Micra today, which is a little bit unusual. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
We're a company called GizFab. We produce a lot of aftermarket performance parts for the K11 Micra. So we've decided to, we've never had our own shop car with all our bits on it, so we took the decision to basically build a car that's got our entire catalogue on it. But also to put our supercharged kit that we've developed for them, just to sort of make sure, they'll survive abuse, which it clearly is. But yeah, it's just something different. You don't see K11 you see plenty of micros in rallying scene, cheap and cheerful to do in rallying scene, but you don't really see them in circuit racing. A handful out there, but not many.
But it's not your average micro, is it?
No, so it's a 1.3. It's got our development supercharged kit on it. And we're pushing a nice 125 horsepower through the front wheels. So we're not the most powerful car out there, but we had nothing to look forward to this year, so we thought, sod it, let's dump my Florida fund into a race car. Let's do Time Attack this year.
Excellent. And you've got plans for maybe another car in the background as well?
Yeah,
building another car.
We are building another car. A lot of people who are watching this right now, friends, will probably be spitting at the screen, but I do have quite a rare Honda Civic factory four-wheel drive that we were looking to build for Time Attack. Hopefully in the next couple of years, I keep telling myself I'll have it built out here, but we'll have to see how it goes.
There's also a tofu delivery Time Attack machine in the pipeline, from what I understand, that Eden may or may not be working on.
I'm just hearing Alexi. Sorry, can you repeat that, Alexi?
I also believe there might be a tofu delivery machine in the pipeline, some kind of Corolla.
So Alexi, the commentator, we're also going to build one of his cars, which is one of my dream cars. Unfortunately, he's forcing me to butcher it and install an engine that I would never install in the chassis, but Alexi is such a good friend of ours, we'll do anything for him, even if it involves me crying as I do it. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, good luck out there. It's great to see a different car on the grid as well.
Okay, much happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. What a great interview. I love that guy. So back to the... good times. Let's have a look at the competitive running then. Phil Reed still fastest of all, having gone faster still with a 47.8 ahead of Colin Dorder with a 48.9. So Phil Reed building that gap now to 1.1 seconds. Matt Newing still in third place in the Mitsubishi Evo 7 with a 50.3. Very, very quick indeed. Let's have a look at how Ben Robertson's doing. He's on your screens now. The comeback king in the Noble M12, 52.4. That's good enough for 6th overall and 1st in Club Pro two-wheel drive. So he'll be pretty pleased if he were to keep this result by the time the checkered flag comes out, leading his respective class. In Club Pro four-wheel drive then, we have... Chris Cherry, let's have a look at this. Cherry Racing Mitsubishi Evolution 5. That's a pretty special machine to see here. And this is part of the beauty of Time Attack, is just it's such a variety of cars. And I think if you are into cars, there are probably few motorsport disciplines more exciting to watch and to get involved in than Time Attack. You've got Ben Robinson in the Noble M12 just passing the Mitsubishi Evolution there. And we just saw Eden Young in the GizFab K11 Micra. We've got the Mitsubishi Colts. We've got the Subaru Imprezas, the M3s. Whatever your flavor is. If you like pops and bangs, we've got Fiestas and BMWs. If you like the old school, we got the Evo 5s and all kinds of everything in between. Great fun. And let's have a look at who's coming up now. I think that might be Andy Hughes in the number 59 machine. Yes, that is 59. Andy Hughes coming into shot in the X Shift Super Impreza. Number 59 currently running 16th overall, but second in Pro Extreme. Single round entry there. And we have 40 seconds of the session remaining. Bearing in mind, these are point scoring sessions. Darren Spooner then coming through on 3 wheels through Druids in that K20 powered Peugeot 205 Spooks Motorsport machine. And Andy Hughes there going pretty gingerly into Graham Hill Bend, perhaps deciding not to take any more risks with 16 seconds of the session left. So there he goes. There goes Andrew Barber again, who traveled a whole 12 hours just to be able to do some time attack. And if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, then I'm not going to be able to help you. So there you go. The checkered flag is out. Andrew Barber then having traveled 12 hours to get here, having smashed in some very quick laps, going 3rd overall, having displaced a whole bunch of people. And Andrew Barber then 2nd in Pro 4-wheel drive. And after tomorrow's running, we'll be looking at a nice 12+ hour trip home. Isn't that wonderful? So let's have a look at the running then as the checkered flag is out. Phil Reed, fastest of all with a 47.8, very fast indeed. Colin Dorward with a 48.9, so that gap remains fixed at 1.1 seconds. Andrew Barber managing to displace Matt Newing with a 50.1. And then we have Matt Newing with a 50.3. Ben Robinson, 5th fastest overall and fast in Club Pro 2-wheel drive. Very impressive effort there from him with a 51.4. And then we have Bradley in the Mitsubishi Evo 9 with a 51.9. Cherry with a 52.5. Spooner with a 52.8. We have Steve Reed with a 53.2 in the Mitsubishi Evo 8. Pittman with a 55.3. Sims 55.5. Wright 55.8. Doyle 58.9. Jeff Kershaw with a 59.4. Mick Porter 1 minute 1 second 0.6. Andy Hughes 1 minute 9.3. And Roman Grandel failed to set a fast lap. That rounds up our qualifying for time attack. Now we kick off some of our other bits and bobs, but in terms of time attack specifically, the final is scheduled to kick off at 4:25. Let's just have a look. Where are we now? We're about 20 minutes behind schedule, so perhaps 4:25. Basically, switch on at 4:30, and I think you'll be able to catch it. That's the time attack final. So we will see you in a couple of hours. Thanks for watching.
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing, testing.